In an exclusive interview with our sister publication, The Sunday Guardian, Nikhil Gupta, who has been accused of plotting to assassinate Sikh for Justice terrorist Gurpatwant Singh Pannun, has claimed that the United States has targeted a specific community using a divide and rule strategy. He claimed that the US tried to exploit the situation in India and also capitalize on it in the US because the Sikh community is quite large and influential in the United States of America. He also claimed that he was a businessman involved in various small businesses, but initially the US said that he was a drug trafficker and a firearms dealer, and then of course also branded Nikhil Gupta as a murder for hire individual. He also says then that the US kept on changing their story 4 times. Well, the big question, of course, is Nikhil Gupta being targeted? Is the big question. Is Nikhil Gupta an example of the deep state's proxy war against India? Is Nikhil Gupta the next Kulbhushan Jadhav? Well, these are all questions that need an answer. Joining us at this point live is Surinder Singh Lali, international affairs expert. We also have Professor Madhav Nalapat, editorial director of the Sunday Guardian Live. Major General G.G. Dwivedi, defense expert, also with us live. Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, is also joining the broadcast. Let me begin with you first, Professor Madhav Nalapat. This is a big Sunday Guardian world exclusive. What do you make of the explosive answers given by Nikhil Gupta, and what are the ramifications going to be now of this interview?
First of all, I want to tell you, Uday, the Sunday Guardian checked and rechecked the story to confirm its authenticity. It is coming from quarters that are unimpeachable and quarters that are frankly, in regular touch with the situation. So that all I can say is that the story is accurate. There's no question about it. Tomorrow or day after, Nikhil Gupta is tortured or he's forced to or coerced to try and say no, no, no. I remember Vijay Mallya, the same thing happened. We had an unimpeachable interview with him, and he then later on denied it because it was found illegally, not legally, but he was coerced into denying it. Same thing may happen here, but the fact is our sources are unimpeachable and they are completely indisputable. So we stand by the story. Second point is, there is no doubt that the United States of America administration, successive administrations, have sought to keep the flame of Khalistan burning. Khalistan is an artificially created flame created by the Sino-Wahhabi lobby, and it is a testament to the influence of Sino-Wahhabi lobby in the United States that it has got individuals in the US who are doing its bidding, acting frankly as its servants in keeping going various conspiracies hatched against India. Among them is this horrible conspiracy of, first of all, giving a bad name to the global Sikh community. The Sikh community is a very noble community. It is far away from terror, and it is far away from any ignoble thoughts. You go to a Sikh Gurdwara, you go to the Golden Temple, for example, you get served prasad, and the welcome is beautiful. I went there, frankly, and not once, but more than once, and I can tell you, I was overwhelmed by the hospitality there. That is the Sikh faith. And what is happening? The ISI wants to turn the attention away from the horrible genocide of the Sikh community in 1940, 45, 46, 47, 48 in what is now Pakistan, Punjab. They want to turn the focus away and switch on to an undeniable travesty of justice that took place in India in 1984. What is important is every one of the perpetrators, including the top perpetrators, many of them are no more with us. I know at least 3 people who are very prominent people. They are no longer with us. But any of the perpetrators, high or low, should be brought to justice. There's no question about that. That much justice we have to do. We cannot afford this to be slow. They have to be brought to justice, and they have to be made accountable for this mass murder. Having said that, I'd like to say that the real atrocities go unpunished. In fact, several of those who committed the atrocities are now living in the homes of the very people they murdered, the very families they butchered, the very women they assaulted and raped, the very men and children they butchered. They're living in their houses, enjoying their properties. And someday there must be accountability there also within Pakistan. Thank you, Uday.
Surinder Singh Lali, let me bring you in here. What do you make of this big exclusive interview of the Sunday Guardian, and also now the revelation, the answers given by Nikhil Gupta? What are going to be the ripples of that?
Thank you, Uday. First, allow me to congratulate the Sunday Guardian and NewsX for the solution-based objective journalism that you stand for. I mean, in fairness to all, the jury's still out, so I'm not going to stick my neck out. But thus far, the alleged torture and the slaughterhouse are a deep concern for me. I mean, the Statue of Liberty, which is probably just 2 to 4 miles away, which stands for freedom, inspiration, and hope, it seems to be very ironical. But I must tell you something, that a few years ago, I was taking a flight from Carpi to Barcelona and then to Paris. And it was a very small plane, and I maybe took longer than I should have in the smaller plane in the restroom. So when I came out, the pilot was there, and he gave me a very nasty stare. But that wasn't the end of it. When I landed in Barcelona, there were 7 cop cars who came to pick me up. Why? Because the pilot, for some reason, was suspicious because of my facial hair, brown skin, and the turban. Now, why am I telling you this? I mean, Pannu on American soil openly threatens to blow our embassies, painting our diplomats as targets, the parliament, and Air India. Now, Air India has a code share with 26 airlines, which includes Lufthansa, Thai, Air Canada, and United. That's an American airline. But the American state is absolutely quiet on him. I mean, not a single charge against him, and yet he travels across borders, flashing his both passports, and threatening a democracy which is an equal partner and which is a growing democracy. So, Uday, from what I feel, that these are simply tools. They're all assets of the deep state, which they employ in terms of checking other economies. I mean, be the financial institutions and the Hindenburgs and the various think tanks, lobbies, and not to mention George Soros and Elon Musk have been the latest billionaires to meddle into the affairs of other countries. So I feel these are assets of the deep state which they deploy, and Canada is nothing else but a wingman of the United States, to simply keep other countries in check, because American hegemony is up for revision. You know how everything is shifting to Asia. So they simply deploy these sort of various tools to check. And, the worst kept secret is that they were not happy with our participation in, us buying gasoline from Russia, and the other way that we've been wanting to become a strategic partner and not an ally. So I think, although the jury's out, I mean, I'm not going to prejudge anything, but I still feel that there is much more to what meets the end, especially when, Mr. Gupta speaks about, how the Sikh vote. I mean, what's the secret about it? I mean, they're openly, Canadian Prime Minister is opening pandering to Sikh vote bank for, whatever reasons best known to him, and he's ruined the relationship between two democratic economies where there is such a large diaspora. So obviously, yes, it is not just a tool of the deep American state, but it somewhere is also done through Canada in dividing, the Hindu-Sikh, one homie.
Yes. Okay, let me, in fact, quickly draw that to Major General Dwivedi. Major General Dwivedi, which are the, questions now that are arising on the basis of the answers being given by Nikhil Gupta and the contradictions that he has revealed in the course of this Sunday Guardian exclusive interview?
Well, Uday, before I come to your question per se, I'd like to share one or two important information with you. Firstly, foremost, I belong to Punjab. And not only that, for 6 years, I operated as part of the army during the Punjab militancy during the 80s and early 90s. So I can make some few categorical statements with my knowledge on the ground. And more so, I belong to this state. First and foremost, there are no takers for the Khalistan movement in Punjab. This is a delusion created by certain vested elements who are inimical to India and who are bent to destabilize India and also to malign India's name. Now, one need to understand a larger picture. There is a global network, so-called of Khalistanis, and that network works both in the West and duly supported by political elites. Now, when you talk of, Panu, well, he heads the Sikhs for Justice. Then you have the Khalistani Commando Force, whose Nijar was the architect. And then you have the political support by Trudeau, whose party is supported by Jagmeet Singh. And of course, the deep state, both in US and in Pakistan and beyond. Now, that is how the whole chessboard is actually laid out. So, therefore, it's very clear that it's a design to destabilize and malign India. Now, coming to the case per se, first and foremost, yes, my compliments to Sunday Guardian for breaking out this story. And as Professor Nalapada said, that it is very authentic, so one doesn't doubt about it, because your paper enjoys very high degree of credibility. The four things are, worth noticing. First and foremost, Gupta does not have any background of criminal background. He is a clean person. Secondly, the way he has been framed. Firstly, as a drug peddler, then as a, someone who is indulging in arms, and then finally he has been implicated as a murderer, paid murderer. Now, this sort of story doesn't gel at all, because you cannot take out a person who has a very clean record. Secondly, is the credibility of the American system. How they have, extradited him, brought him to Brooklyn jail, and he is kept with the hardcore criminals. I'm, as an Indian, very concerned about his safety, and so also others must be. And the way the whole thing is being orchestrated, there is a sting in the whole issue. And I think any sane person, you don't require a very legal mind to comprehend and to also see through the whole game. All I can say is that this is a high degree of conspiracy. I'm not waiting for a jury to be out, because these are very simple facts on which judgments can be made. And I think this is a high time that America must stop towing the Trudeau's line, ensure that our relationships are far beyond the Pannu and Niger, and we must look at the larger canvas. And as two very matured democracies, I think this must be set aside. And I think the slate must be cleaned out. And we must also see the larger game. And the larger game is to harm India's interest, to create a wedge between the Indian community. There are 4 million, the most flourishing community of diaspora in America, create a wedge. And finally, my word is that to destabilize India and malign India's name. Uday.
Yes. Let me, in fact, quickly also get in then Gautam Mukherjee on his perspective. Gautam, what stood out for you in the revelations made by Nikhil in this interview? What did you make of what he said about the way the trial has proceeded so far, and also the allegations put on him and the frequent flip-flops by the US that he is alleging as well?
Well, this is broader than Nikhil Gupta himself, because a lot of this is concocted, and in the trial process, it will probably not pan out. But having said that, the implications and the pointing of fingers is at India. Now, by the same token, today's news, it appears that there were a couple of ISI agents, plus a renegade Khalistani and an Indian, involved in the murder of Nijar. There have been reports today that it had nothing to do with India, that it was actually an ISI plot. Now, this is getting murkier and murkier. There is also the American embassy going around meeting various opposition figures like Owaisi. Now they went to see Chandrababu Naidu with the view of turning him. Now, this is downright interference in the internal affairs of India. There is a concerted and fairly naked effort on the part of a section of the establishment in America to try and bring down this government. They are alarmed that this government is not biddable. They have the full cooperation of figures in the opposition, and they want to do whatever is possible to try and bring this government down. They managed to do it in Bangladesh recently, and they think that because, according to them, the government is weakened because of its loss of seats in this third round, that this may be a good time to bring the House down. Now, all of this, I do not believe, is part and parcel of the entire view of the United States or Canada for that matter. But there is a section, and they are beholden to very substantial lobbies from China and Pakistan and certain other parts of Europe and their own left wing, which is determined to keep trying to bring down a nationalist government so that it does not keep growing in strength without interruption, because this year, according to the IMF, and IMF has always said 27, 28, we become the third largest economy. But Gopinath also said that it's possible that this will happen this very year. This is because of two other circumstances. Japan's economy has come down, and Germany is more or less at a standstill. We need to add $500 billion to our economy, which we are on track for, and we will be number 3 in this year itself. It's sending shivers. They did not understand what would happen when they backed China all the way to number 2. And they are grappling with that now. What they want to make sure of, and China's on their side in this, is that India doesn't keep growing at this rate. If it reaches 3 already and keeps increasing its GDP to 10 and 15 and 20, we are not going to be controllable by the West in the old manner anymore. So this is the time where everything will be thrown at us. There'll be a dual sort of approach. One is the hugging and kissing officially, and the second part is flinging the CIA and the ISI and, joining hands with everybody, including the terrorists, to try and do us in. That's what's going on.
All right. Let me, in fact, quickly take that back across now to Professor Nalapat. Professor Nalapat, these revelations have emerged. As you're saying, it could be, of course, retracted later. Depending on his legal strategy, it could not. But the fact is, the Sunday Guardian is standing by this interview and standing by its strong sources. What happens next now in this trial? Where do you see this case headed? I think officially the hearings are going to be beginning perhaps sometime next month.
Well, Uday, innocent people have been framed in the past in US courts. It may happen this time. I want to add to what General Dwivedi was saying. I'm not among the noble people of Punjab, coming from Kerala, but I visited Punjab multiple times during the 1980s, during the worst insurgency. And as a precaution, I used to keep a Bible and a cross with me, a cross inside and a Bible my wife would hold, so that in case these people came, we could tell them that we are Christian. And lo and behold, once it actually happened. A 1 in 1,000 chance it actually happened. And they asked all the Hindus to step forward. Almost like a robot, I was stepping forward when my wife blocked me, pulled the cross out of my shirt and said, Christian, and showed the Bible and said, Christian. And they left us alone. and they killed every Hindu, every person who had walked in front of the line. I am also a Hindu. My wife is a Hindu. We are very proud Hindus. But that Bible and that cross, they saved us. I'm forever grateful to the Bible and the cross for having saved us. So I can confirm the people of Punjab are patriotic. Why? Because after these terrorists did their awful work and the Hindu people were lying at our feet, literally, they hoisted the Khalistan flag and went away. As soon as that jeep disappeared, the people of that village, Sikhs, to a man and woman, immediately took down that flag and hoisted back the tricolor. I can tell you, I've never felt so proud to be an Indian as during that moment. So there I can confirm what General was saying. And secondly, the Chinese worst nightmare is India and America becoming friends. I'm sorry to say there are many individuals in the Biden administration who are working as hard as the Chinese to ensure that the Chinese nightmare never comes true. I don't know why. Someday some independent inquiry may find that they're just being useful idiots or they're being a little more devious in their design. But I don't know why. But it is a fact that several of the Biden administration are marching arm in arm with China in trying to ensure that India and the US never become the strategic partners that we have to be to protect the Indo-Pacific from China. Uday.
Are the Western powers still guilty of divide and rule as well, as being alleged, Surinder Lali, by Nikhil Gupta in this interview?
I mean, you look at the history of how the Britishers colonized and said that the sun never sets in the British Empire. So that's been, their claim to fame, and they've divided and ruled over so many countries. But, on a very serious note, I wish to say that, Guru Gobind Singh Sahib gave us an identity which we can't even run away from. And this was when the might of the Mughal army was out to demolish us. And now on a note of levity, Professor Nalapat, I can actually wear a cross and a turban and maybe get away with it, depending on the conditions apply. But having said that, yeah, I mean, I wish to thank NewsX also because you are allowing the likes of me the space to keep our voice forward. Then I don't even dignify them with that. I just call them the K word, because these are individuals who probably prefer to sit down over a cup of coffee and do their due diligence. What are they asking for? What land? What borders? Do you have any sea? So these are absolutely ill-informed idiots, I'm sorry to say that, who have never thought they are just, peddled under the free speech in these developed economies. And a lot of them, I'm sorry to say, I've lived in Canada too, are involved in all sorts of nefarious activities, and they're simply funding, the Canadian polity.
Yes.
And shame on those Canadians who, for a certain amount of funding, for seats which are not even more than 2%, are negotiating the interest of such a large, developed economy.
Yes,
so if
quite
anything,
shameful. Quite shameful. That is. I'm running out of time. Major General Dwivedi, last word to you.
Well, I think, Uday, I'm more than convinced that with the strength and the patriotism of people of Punjab, I'm very proud to be one. All the designs will be defeated, and more than anything else, India is a very strong country which will weather away these kind of incidences. And my last word is India and US. We are strategic partners. These are small irritants and they can be handled. But at the end of the day, I think these designs to destabilize India is not going to see the day. And India is a strong nation, will emerge and overcome these small crises.
Okay. Yes, 10 seconds to Gautam Mukherjee.
Well, the efforts are not letting up, and in the sense that if you keep trying, some of this could trip us up here and there. We have to be very vigilant throughout this year and all the years up to 2029, and that's the best we can do.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.